Hi, everybody. It is April 25th. We are on the MicroProfile marketing call. I am Ryan St. James. I'll be hosting today's call, and we will be going through the meeting notes, which I need to share now. So give me 1 minute, and I will share the screen. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Sorry for the dogs in the background. All right. So where shall we start? I'm guessing on today's agenda, we were going to probably go to priority discussion items. Do we want to talk about the stewards required attendance?
Not right now. That one is a constant, Ryan. But we do have people coming in from other communities and they are ready to help. But it's their turn to find a time to attend and say, hey, I'm interested. So,
Okay.
So let's move on.
Okay, let me just, hold on. I got to find one more document here to be able to move to the next one. Is it here? The Zoom control panel is always in the way.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
It's never where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we are. All right. There we go. So I guess the first topic will be the compatible implementation pages. I'd hate to tell you guys, I am a little bit behind, but I will show you for what I have. We'll start off with get this control panel out of the way. Let's go with the doc first and kind of review what Emily and I set up and sent out in the ticket. We outlined the possible two structures of 2 pages. One, the home page for compatible implementation. We covered this in the last call, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's gone a little bit farther. Oh, I do have one more actually. Hold on 1 second. I will pull up the other one. I think it's this one. Okay. It's the same thing. So I need to also pull up, sorry. I didn't realize it wouldn't be open right now. There we are. Now we're good to go. Let me get rid of that. All right, so let's start with the home page. I'll do a quick preview here. Homepage we discussed already. It would be top banner with title, background image. Then it would be implementation table, covering version, description, presentation link, and button to detail page. Was that all that was on this page, Emily?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I believe it's this one. Yeah, so description, or well, probably don't even need this because we'll have an implementation and a small description here. The table will be stylized differently. It's just, I have to do some CSS and adjust it a bit more, the columns. Each row will have the version, the version of the implementation. That'd be 5, 4, I think we discussed it here, no, here. Is it only 5.0 and 4.1?
Yeah, so 5.0, 4.1, which we have a clear view, I mean, the source of truth about which implementation certify against. For earlier version, and then we have add another row for earlier version. So we could just
version, and it will just say 5.0, 4.1, and then earlier version, and then we'll have a link to a list page, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will just adjust these to be a little bit more accurate with the real info, which is not so hard to find. Presentation link, and the more info will go to the detail page, which would be something roughly like this. It would have a description or overview. It would probably just say, I mean, is this Would it just say well, it should say compatible implementations. I guess the title's correct, right?
Yeah, well, no. So if we're talking about the main page, it should not
Yeah.
say 5.0.
This is the detail page. This is
Oh,
the home page. And then say you click on 5.0, then you would go to the 5.0 page.
okay. Okay.
So-
Go ahead, Emily. Sorry, I cut you.
Sorry. So for this page, basically on the top tile, we list all the things, and then Ryan, and then we'll list the compatible implementation logos, right? Compatible
So,
implementation.
For 5.0, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So you go to 5.0, and then there will be sections here. You wanted this diagram.
Yes.
Then went down, and there was, I didn't get to finish it, but then there was, here would be a table,
Yeah.
which is here, and it would, the compatible would be logo, name, Java version, certificate results.
Yeah.
But then there's,
Ryan, sorry to interrupt. Where do we put the announcement of the blog? It should ideally will be under each page specific to the specification, the release, correct?
yeah, so we can do for this, so that would be on the detail page. We could put a button here for it, if that helps.
Okay, whatever
Yeah.
is easier to find that will not be hidden, it will be perfect.
It's
If we
pretty
can,
straightforward, or we could put some call to action up here. But I
That-
think we're on this page to dive through the information, not just go to the blog.
yeah, like it will be amazing to have it someplace here, right? Someplace here, and then while people navigate, it will help us know where to adjust it. Whatever you see it fits, it doesn't really matter. It just needs
Okay.
to be added to this page.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
currently we put a link here, isn't it?
Like right here. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just add a button.
Mhm.
I'm putting an anchor menu. So it will say on the menu, it will have overview, compatible invitations, download compatible products and downloads. So
Mhm.
it will bring you down the page. So you kind of have an idea what's below on the page.
Sounds great. This is like similar to what you have done in the branding
Exactly.
resources page, right? Right? That page is like the most consumable section in the website. Great.
Yeah.
So this should not be here. This goes to the home page.
Yeah, my feedback was added just under implementation table, which is incorrect, but I just added it here. We can move it under version detail. Ryan, like what you see blog announcement link, and we should be moving the two feedbacks, the two topics I added under version detail maybe.
Yeah, so you wanted the blog announcement link
Yes,
and blog translation release material.
correct.
So what we can do-
Sometimes.
And what would the blog translation material look like?
It is always, we always have it. It is always the blog translated into Spanish and the presentation translated in Spanish. So we have all the content that we have for the release, under each release is usually translated to Spanish. Last time I think, so we need to,
Go ahead, sorry, Amelia.
yeah, so we need to find a way to insert here other languages,
How many languages is it just Spanish and English right now?
Spanish and English, but we have also a desire for French. So you can just say, maybe we add a fourth tab that says languages. I have no idea. You can always find a way.
I think it's something here,
Yeah.
or I'll think about it. Yeah, there's
Think
something
about it.
here. So because it'll probably be on the bottom of the page, but
It should be in the tab. Like it should be a part
no,
of
I
this.
mean the actual content will be on the bottom of the page.
Yeah, yeah. It
And
sounds
then
great.
you need some calls. So in the menu, I think is the best solution because it will take, if someone's skimming it, they'll see it right away and just shoot them down there where they need to be.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Just find a way to do it. And if you can have it like to be very simple and clean, less clicking, that works. When we automate, when we launch this page, it would be amazing to have less clicks to get to the information. So anything, my feedback to you and Emily is anything that will add 3 clicks to something that I can do in 1 should be terminated. If we cannot, and then it's 2 clicks to get to the information, so be it. Also, reference to the implementations, we need to make sure that the websites are linked under potentially this page here. MicroProfile version is now available and more info. We're talking about the implementation. So more info should link us directly to go to the website of that vendor or implementers, right? We do want people to keep here, to be here. This is the main page where we provide information about the technology. And then the ones that do the work, we should be highlighting them, their websites, right?
Okay, so what I can do is, so when they're compatible, you know, we said there's gonna be logo there. That would be here. This would be logo. I just didn't get to it. So we'd have to put a logo there. We can make it clickable. It will go to their website.
Perfect. Yeah, I didn't know
or
what
we
you
can have 2 buttons at the end. You know, one that goes to, I guess, is it certification results? What link? Where are we driving them from that table, Emily? From compatible table.
From a compatible table, basically is I think you can do the logo drive to the download page. So that would be
To the download page. So the one button will say download.
Yeah, and
But
then
isn't that-
certificate.
But isn't that here? Download compatible products.
So the download the compatible product, do we need it? Probably we don't need it anymore.
You don't need it.
If we put it in the table.
Yeah, if its logo directly pointed to the download page, we don't need it.
Yeah.
Right.
So compatible implementation, I did get confused on this part, and I'm glad that we can simplify. When we talk about logo and we repeat it twice, it's irrelevant. It's like we're duplicating the content. We need to simplify it. And I said, just delete this section. And then we make it so that the ones that are highlighted in MicroProfile compatible page are the implementers. We want the link to bring us directly to their websites. It is their job to update their sites or do anything. It is not the job of MicroProfile to add their blogs into this thing, not to add, like we can add them, like Emily says, the downloadable button is perfect. Java version, I don't even think we need it in here. We need to be very careful because that is the description that is required under each implementers. Whatever they choose to publicize, they add to do so. Usually Java versions are normal, right? So we have a minimum of what is required for MicroProfile implementations. So we need to get away from the Java version, listing it at least, because MicroProfile specification and the committee will always decide what is the minimum, and we cannot pick and choose, right? So simplify it, and I said delete from here. But I'm not sure what Emily, what do you think about this?
Emily had some opinions on it last time.
Yeah. So this is direct request from a customer in the mandatory. So the reason is using, as you know, we in the spec, so we don't say which version, we only say minimum version. However, this is the Java version is very fundamental for the implementation because this page is about implementation. Like a Liberty, for example, with like support 11 and 17, maybe it's like some other product only support 17. As an end user, if I come in and said, okay, I can't do 17, I can only do 11. Okay, I take a look, I say, okay, so the runtime A is support 11, so I have to go with that. So this is a direct request from a customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Emily, thanks for explaining. Cesar, you are super technical, and what is your take on this? Because I do understand Emily's feedback on the user saying, hey, let's add it. What's your take on this as technical? When you go into a software you're planning on using something, would it be useful if you didn't know anything about it?
Yeah, if you're, if you are just navigating and trying to find information, yeah, I guess one of the first thing that you do is to search to try to find how to download how the documentation. So I don't see any issue of having that button, right?
All right.
Or having that option, right? Having that option too. I don't.
Right.
I think the balance that, as Rand was mentioned, there is a balance how much we can put as a first thing to find, or if we need to aggregate if you want to show something different.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's just like when Ryan come up with a design, and then we can see, and then we can improve it and make it both readable and navigatable.
Yeah,
So
we'll see what skills we have to work with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is great. So Emily, let's play a note on this, because we will need to, if we adjust this and add it as, this will adjust what we currently have on the template for compatible implementations submission, Git tickets. We have a template where everyone uses. So whatever we need in this will be, it will translate to that template as well. So we will need to adjust that in the future. We cannot forget that, because if that template, that Git issue doesn't feed us this information, then it's going to be impossible to upkeep the information, correct? So let's continue to remember that. Maybe add a note here that this will need to adjust the template, and either you do it or I do it. It doesn't really matter, but I would definitely prefer you do it, just because you pretty much created it. And then, we can do a PR or for review or something that will not allow us to forget this. Super important.
So yeah, further information on this. When like a compatible implementation file or certification request, one of the mandatory item is which Java they use. So they have to list it. They have to list it.
Okay, good. It has been so long.
Yeah.
No adjustment. So we will need to revise the document here, and we can just task you on it and say, revise the current template. Maybe Emily, you want to write this as a go-to do after this, because once Ryan has completed the version, we are going to set this live. We did agree 2 weeks ago that we will be moving as soon, as nicely paced, but we will not be like boiling this until it's perfect. We want to throw it out there and see the consumption and the critic, right?
Yeah, so I think it's what Ryan doing, yeah, is great. So when Ryan have a first pass, that's I mean, all the information we need to be reviewed and etc. And then we will still use the Git issue and to make sure we have any comments and etc. I think it's all of this we have discussed and need to be revalidated to see.
I have a couple of questions real quick. This is the logo of the company. We want the name of the company also written next to it.
Correct.
Going up.
Yeah, we need.
This is interesting. The name, I will just say not the name of company. I will say the name of the product.
Yes, I thought it was a product always. Product, compatible, the implementation is a product, right?
Yeah. So sorry, Emily.
No, go ahead. It's a product. We will do, for example, Tommy is open source, right? And it would never be Tommy Tribe. It would be the Apache Software Foundation in there, right? So when we talk about a project, the name of a product, it would be Tommy, Apache Tommy, which will link us to the website of the Apache Software Foundation for Tommy, correct? And then the same for IBM.
Yeah.
IBM, there is an implementer. It's not going to be Open Liberty. Well, it will be Open Liberty, but it's like IBM name will not show up. That's what, that's when I read name, I thought product.
Yeah, so that's true for the open source. For the kind of the closed source or in-house one, yeah. So the name product property will bury the company name. So
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Certification results, is this linking to something?
Yes.
This is will link to the like a proof or the TCK like a passing record. So let me give you a quick link to like what we have done in the.
Put it in the doc underneath as an example. Can you just add a
Okay.
doc down here?
Okay, let me
Make
give
a
you.
little, just made a little section for you.
Yeah, let me give you
And download button goes to, what would be the name of that page?
So Ryan, my recommendation, because you do need to bring this up to full force, is to, you're working with Emily closely on this. So is to use this document to pull her in via email in the document and say, hey, Emily, what will it go here? So that you can actually use the actual information. We have everything for 4.1 and 5. So we are only working on 4.1, not 5 at the moment. So 4.1, just feed the information. Can we just feed the information and have it to be a formal page? We should already be adding at least one of each. It means let's use one product, let's use the Java version, and let's see how it uses with one product. Since Emily is doing a lot of the work with you, let's use the Open Liberty implementation just to show us, right? That would be my example. It's not going to be biased. It's not going to make Emily look like, oh my gosh, right? Like that she's trying to push that. No. We're doing the work and we are using
real content. You mean use one product for real content.
Correct. Can we do this, Emily? Are you comfortable? You will not be as a highlighted or it just needs to be
each section exactly what would be in each section or put in this doc for Open Liberty. I will make one real row. And then we'll just copy when everyone says, yeah, that's what we want to see. Then we just duplicate that row, but just change the information to different products and companies.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
What else was the question? No, that's all straightforward. That means because before I had the table, well, that's not done. And then I had the download. So that's going to be gone. And it's just going to be a table with the 2 buttons, pretty much links and buttons for download.
Sounds
so
great.
that cleans it up quite a bit.
That sounds amazing. The two of you have done a really good job, like figuring out, you know, like all the, not garbage, but all the information that we could have. And to simplify it, it's only possible when we echo the information and then others can see it. Even if we don't have enough to see it, Ryan, it has been helpful. So Emily, we should write in the minutes that we will use Open Liberty as a tester for filling in the gaps for 4.1, right? So
so we can do both 4.1 and 5.0.
No, we will not waste the time in 5.0 because we said we will test 4.1 and whatever we don't like, we will perfect in 4.1 so that when we finalize 4.1, we go and do 5. Doing 5 and 4.1 seems a waste because we still do not know. It will take Ryan too much time to do both when we do not know what will work.
Well, once we have one section filled in, once it's 4.1, all it is, and you know, the flow works or is good enough for version 1. It's quite quickly just to update all the information, duplicate the page, turn it to 5.0, and then just update the information. As long as Emily gives me all the information. Yeah.
Do you hear that?
There's no real kind of heavy lifting. So basically in that table 5.0, 4.1 is pretty much the same.
So Ryan, just do 4.1 because once we got that done, the cloning is easy, but don't work on 5.
We'll finish one before moving to another one.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can choose either 5.0 or 4.1 to start with. That's fine.
Because we haven't really started any of them yet. So. Yeah, that sounds fine. So these outlines, I'm gonna have to bring in Andre to update and help me speed up a couple table things. Let's just review this real quick. Let me get rid of this Zoom window thing. So this is the home page here. We got implementations, then we list. So just in the beginning be 5.0, 4.1. These two will be gone. We'll have description, presentation link, And then I don't know if it's more info, we'll maybe change it. This will take you to the detail page. But below
Oh, yeah.
this, or no, and then here will be
Earlier versions.
previous versions.
Yeah.
And I guess we just describe kind of why it's there, maybe.
No,
Yeah.
we don't need to.
Before
Maya,
TCK versions.
so in the beginning of the website, we have each release, and it always says in the table previous release.
Mhm.
We just do something like that using the communication that we have under main page for releases. We just do a cloning on that in the level of, it should be like this. Implement releases before MicroProfile working group creation. Nothing else. Super simple, super easy.
Well, it's really long compared to 5.0 column.
Yeah, so it should be.
I can bring it down to a whole new section and just be like title, previous releases, and then small description, and then a button that but because where are we driving them? Are we driving them anywhere?
Yeah, we are driving them to the GitHub.
To
Under
which
my-
I think for earlier versions, we have to come up with a different design because we can't really say compatible implementations because, as Amelia said, that's before the working group. So there's no kind of the certification, etc. I think we just focus on 5.0, 4.1 first, and then we can mock up an earlier version. I think for earlier versions, we could just only display the logos. Basically, we want to say actually the acknowledge them, like Cumulus EE, for example.
So more
Yeah.
something like previous versions, and then we just do something. Well, you can't see
Yes.
very well. Something
Exactly.
like boxes
Yes.
going down.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that would be good.
Yeah, so something that we need to be very careful is that for the previous versions, there was no patent, IP patent signed by the working group, by the members. There was no, we need to, my preference is to be specific. The difference between 4.1 and 5 and the previous ones is that 4.1 and 5 are done under the MicroProfile working group that is forced, or it needs to acquire the specification releases of the Eclipse Foundation, which we adapted with some minor changes, right? So we need to be very specific to show or to state within the page, I think is okay, but to say previous releases not under the working group creation October 1st, 2020. When we are this specific, every member is protected, right? Every member that is an implementer, and implementations we need to be careful about this as well because it leads to legal. An implementer doesn't have to be a member of the working group or the Eclipse Foundation. An implementer can be anywhere, right? We do not highlight only members of the Eclipse Foundation and the MicroProfile working group. As such, the definition of past releases that are under different implementations needs to be stated. What I say is, like Emily has stated, we will write a Git issue or something that immediately tells us at the end, one sentence, why this is there, and it will bring us to some place. Clearly, every release is under one page in one link, and it goes ascending every release, and it gets buried. So I'm not sure if this will give us to the time to say, let's separate and create, put these releases, move them here under the same repo, but different section. I have no idea what is right here, but maybe this is something that needs to be discussed, in a technical call. Because when I think about legal, the page is actually deals with legal, with IPs, and it needs to be very simple to minimize confusion.
Right. I don't think a technical call will understand the IP. We could I think could discuss on the mailing list. The other thing, what I'm thinking, for earlier versions, we shouldn't say compatible implementations because
We cannot.
you can just say, yeah,
We
the
can
support. Yeah. So I think for now, we should just focus on 4.1, 5.0 first. We get that page set up because the earlier version will be a completely different thing. That's pretty much quite a lightweight. So
Correct.
we want to acknowledge them and display their logo and also make sure we don't, trap into these IP things.
Correct.
We should clearly call it out. This is before working group set up. So this is no certification, no compatible implementation as such.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if we do that, Ryan, let's just not let's keep it here in the level of later, not under comparable implementation table, because it violates the IP and what we have signed up to do. But other than that, everything else is a go. Let's not confuse ourselves. Let's say for later consideration. I do believe that as I continue to think about the IP and the legal, we must not add the previous versions under compatible because it's confusing. If it's there, even when we explain it in one sentence, what I just said 3 minutes ago, it's not going to be clear because it's so easy. It's under this page, it's allocated to it. We have given an added debt to the new page, unnecessary. So let's move on. And Emily, if you can, maybe not now, maybe in May, start a new thread that says, hey, once we have 4.1, right?
Yeah.
And then say, hey, we talked about it a few weeks ago about how to point out the other releases. So what is the take here? And I would say, hold back your idea somehow, just ask the question to the community and then see what others have to say, because not everyone understands IP as well as some of us do. And we have, go ahead.
Sorry. So I just want to be clear, you want to remove earlier versions for now.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So the more we discuss, actually is we could even easier just add a paragraph saying, oh, earlier implementations not fall into this one, and then maybe even point to the wiki. We do have the implementation wiki. Yeah. But we will start a conversation offline because not everybody concerned about this on the course and etc. So that people can jump in the thread.
You know how proponent I am onto not having a call die in the conversations. If it doesn't get to the mailing list when it matters, it didn't do the. So we just failed completely. But if you do that, Emily, I'm just pointing out, if you do that and keep in mind, this, I think is going to be helpful because you're working with Ryan closely and it's just like super simple. We make it uncomplicated and consumable. We don't have it there. People are going to ask, we don't have it there at the moment. And then where should we put it? And I think it should continue to be a main page.
Yeah, so anyway, I think it's good. Ryan and I mainly Ryan is kind of driving the page. Once the page is there, and then let's focus on this compatible implementation first, and then can once that in there, we have a context and then easier to explain. Otherwise, now we explain and people don't understand. So,
and I don't waste the time trying to explain it again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we have even written a wiki on patents, and it was consumed and people were confused. Some were appreciated it, others were more confused. So why bother? Don't do this. Let's not go into that. Ryan, do you have anything you need to move forward?
No, I'll just ping Emily. Let's just get together once I'm going to clean up the tables and get the outlines done. I have everything. And then we'll just fill in the information, the proper information for one page and the home page, and then we'll repeat after it gets approved.
Do you think these 40 minutes were helpful to getting you going and feeling that your time is going to be not wasted on doing things that will be changed later? Do you think this is helpful to you?
No, it's fine. I just should have got more done before, style-wise, but you know what? It's style.
It was helpful.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ryan. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was helpful. Look, we got a lot tapped, 40 minutes.
All right, next topic, website improvements. Cesar, this is you, bud.
Yes, so this week, this last week, sorry, the last Friday, Ryan and I met. Unfortunately, Summer couldn't meet the session, so there were no progress, there were no quorum, I will say it. And what I have on my to-do list for this improvement is a proposal for the GitHub Actions. I already provide one GitHub Actions example that I did for the Jakarta website to Summers. So I am expecting feedback from him on that. But at the same time, I'm gonna propose something so we can start moving forward the contributors part. We already have in 2 weeks ago, we had the recommendations from Andre in terms of how to manage the images and all that. So that is the thing that I want to work this week to have a proposal for this Friday.
Cesar, I have a question for you. When you mentioned contributors, you mentioned the contributors and the page on the website, correct? Ryan,
Yeah,
can you show please the page?
Which page, sorry?
Contributors page in the website.
Oh, yeah, so.
Yeah, I saw the Git issue come in. So the question I have is for you is, in the Eclipse Foundation website for MicroProfile, quote unquote, what we have, what that infra site states, it shows the stats of the contributors, right? Currently doing any work in MicroProfile. And clearly we do not want to lose this version here. We use Git, and each of these contributors sent a Git issue to be added. And it was like out of, it was self-addition, which is great. Is this going to be something that someone can say, I am a contributor of MicroProfile, or is this something that will be done via actions? Because I do, I am shown. What's the take on that?
By the way, I think Amelia, maybe you misheard. So by the way, what Cesar said, we are not going to touch this page.
Okay, good. I was concerned. I was like, I was confused. I was like,
No.
what?
No, actually, the change is how, the plumbing that is used for make this page to be alive. This particular page, it depends on an EC2 infrastructure. And we want to make this more static, into an static approach, meaning when I say GitHub Actions, I mean, this is something that contributors can come and see the code that is going to make this page alive. So we are just removing that dependency that we currently have via the EC2 REST API to build this page. That's the proposal, right? And with Summers, and Emily, we saw the opportunity for giving a try using GitHub Actions. Andre gave us feedback about improvements that he has made in order to not reach the quota that the GitHub API has for displaying images, which is something that the current REST API on EC2 at the beginning of the time it started to have some issues. But still, I think it's the first step moving forward to cut that dependency on the EC2 REST endpoint that currently just a few know partially how it works.
Right.
I think I said, we had a call with Summers. We did agree together. We're not going to touch this page, because it's already working, and the infrastructure and etc. is going to be complicated. So we focus on the projects page rather than this page. So we're not going to touch this page. So the GitHub Actions will directly be driven by the specs. For example, MicroProfile config. So Ryan, if you go to the MicroProfile.io again, go to MicroProfile.io.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, thank you. And if you click on the projects.
Projects?
Yeah, So basically, I think we had a 1 hour discussion. So basically, we want to work on this instead. So the contributors and also blogs. I think that Ryan, you said quite clearly, because blogs is already working. So and also is have kind of write a good process to add blogs and etc. I think it's create a GitHub or issues and etc. So I think is the Cesar for the website improvement. Basically, the major thing is about GitHub actions directly from the specification. So one major thing I can see is first thing, at the moment, GitHub Actions is not enabled. Like you can't GitHub Pages is not enabled in the specifications. If you go to MicroProfile-config, you're not allowed to create a GitHub Pages. So that's the first thing I think we need to get Eclipse Foundation directly give us access right to directly enable the GitHub Pages.
Yes, I thought that we have done the enabling because we can use for the MicroProfile repo, the pages. And I thought that was done for all other repos, Emily.
No, if you go to MicroProfile config, because I tried last time, is
Okay.
and also I tried last time. I have to like fork into my own personal repo and be able to try it out. I contacted the Eclipse Foundation. He said, okay, if you want, basically if we decide we want to do GitHub Pages, that will be directly enabled for all of the specifications. Because the last time we said, okay, can I try it out config? He said, once you give you access config, immediately all of the spec will have the same thing.
So have we discussed this to make sure that this is something that we want? Because if it's something that we want, and I thought it was done already, a Git ticket under the working group repo needs to be sent, created, and Paul White needs to be added. He can be assigned to that Git issue, saying we need to activate the pages. That's super simple. Just move on. I don't think there is a con on activation. I thought we had this done, right? This is like first time hearing that it's not. So Emily, what is stopping us from doing this, or is the conversation still needed?
Oh, it's a Ray. If you go to the MicroProfile-config, I just show you what I mean. Click on source code. So it's if you go to here, I think it's kind of the GitHub Pages. As you can see there, we don't have settings and etc. Be able to create GitHub Pages. If you go up a bit, you can see the top bit is code issue, blah blah blah. We need to enable settings. However, for create that GitHub Pages, you need to have the admin. I remember.
Yeah. So Emily, Cesar, thank you so much. Cesar, can you add that ticket? So David seems to have asked you, Emily, March 2021, to deal with the activation of pages, and the ticket has been created. So what I will say is, the ticket is there. Emily, are you comfortable pulling in Paul White and saying we need this done? Is it possible that you help us, or use your tone and just get it done, because it has been over a year and it was not completed. I remember that ticket. I thought it was completed. Here, Cesar shared it in the chat.
Well, what I actually share it in the chat is just, Brian, if you can open the two links I sent to you. The why I started my update with the contributors page is because on the last call that we had, I'm gonna wait for Ryan to open those two links. Yeah, first, this is the main issue that we agree we are going to report the progress, because that was part of the the working group. And from the April 8th, if you see my last comment on the agenda, is where we identify there. Just you passed already. Yeah, there you go. The 2 pages contribute from the 2 pages. That was the agreement I thought we had, is that we know that this the progress for contributors and projects is part of the working group program plan, and my opinion, it keeps being the same, that from the 2 pages, contributors has a narrow scope, and it's a good candidate to start the migration, right? If you scroll down a little bit more, Ryan, please. From there, and based on the feedback we got from Andre, we also identified already the changes that needs to be made. I agree with what Emily said about, that for the projects, there are some prerequisites that we need to tackle, and I think we are in the right moment to start doing that. But I think in parallel, as you see in the last 2 comments of pages of Emily, I think Emily took this from the call. The contributors page currently needs to use JavaScript, CSS code, and EC2 endpoint. So we can replace these 2 EC2 endpoints via GitHub Actions. That's why I started, and I'm planning to start with that. I'm not saying we are not going to work on the projects. It's good that Emily already identified or double checked also that we cannot create GitHub pages at this point. And I think that's something that we can tackle in parallel, right?
Correct.
Right, yeah, I think we talk across the purpose, across the context. We talk about GitHub Actions, we call it GitHub Pages. So they are 2 completely different things.
Yeah, that's right.
If you think it's that kind of via the GitHub Actions is better to kind of simplify this. So am I right? You are not directly replace everything, the contributors. You just like you just do a EC2 endpoint.
Yeah,
so you still need to JavaScript, CSS code.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. And that's why I'm saying for the project page, there are more ingredients involved in the recipe. This JavaScript code and CSS code is coming from WP Engine. So we have a 3rd ingredient. We have the EC2 endpoint, we have the WP Engine JavaScript code, and we have the GitHub API and the README files that are processed throughout the GitHub API. So I'm not saying we are going to remove the page. What I'm saying is that GitHub Action is part of the ingredients for projects, right? GitHub Actions. GitHub Pages is also another part of the ingredients that we have identified that will hopefully enable us to replace this EC2 endpoint and move this JavaScript code from outside WP Engine into GitHub Pages. We know the ingredients. We need to figure out how to mix them all together to cut that dependency. And yeah, I think I don't think GitHub Action and GitHub Pages they complement each other. They don't fight against each other in this.
So for projects page, do we need GitHub Actions at all? I thought we only need GitHub Pages.
That's what I'm trying to discover via the prototype I want to make. I want to discover it. I want to validate if that is possible. But in order to do that, I first need to do it with what I know how to do it, which is GitHub Actions. So I'm gonna my proposal is to create a prototype.
Yeah.
It will. Yeah.
So okay. So Cesar, you are going to create a prototype. Have you given yourself and the team a deadline? You're working with Summers on this. Will you be given a deadline? I haven't seen an update on the community forum.
We haven't had the call in 2 weeks. That this April 8th was the last one we had. So this is the current status of what we agree. And as I said, I am planning to have a prototype for this Friday, or at least report something for this Friday. We don't have a deadline right now, and I don't know if Summer will and the team will be available for reviewing my proposal, but I want to present something on Friday so we can iterate over it. I already sent something that I did similar in terms of manipulating GitHub pages via GitHub Actions, but I haven't had feedback so far about that.
So my feedback for you, Cesar, because it's so easy sometimes to go into a vacuum while you're figuring out things, is not to use the vacuum to collaborate. When we spend even 5 minutes on the project, moving forward a task that has been bothering us for a very long time, let's use the community forum for such updates. The website is of huge stress because we always get messages on the project page is not done. So if we communicate even the smaller things and the level of, this is a prototype we're working on. Like my recommendation is to avoid private vacuum and then just use, this is a prototype, here is information, please provide your feedback if you have any. In general, there are 1,200 contributors. You did mention on the last call that help is needed. It shouldn't be just a project for a few microprofilers. We should be enabling others to jump or choose to jump on board. This morning, I got a few emails from a few microprofilers that are coming back saying, I just went into the contributors page and I want to know how to help. Do you see? I'm not going to answer with, you can help with X and Y. I said, join the calls and figure and ask in the forum, right? Ask in the forum, how can you help, right? Because I am not scalable if I am not the person to unblock someone else. You are not scalable if you make yourself be the person that is doing a lot of the work, but not getting the feedback. Your feedback and your ask for feedback should be sent to the community. You are working for everyone in the MicroProfile working group. That means if Summer is occupied and doesn't see it, or Emily, someone else might see it. So let's enable, is it possible for you to enable that like much more open outtake?
Sure,
Even when
sure.
you do not know anything, it's okay not to know. On the contrary, we're investigating.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what I'm saying. Once I have a prototype to show to the world, I will post it. Currently, I haven't worked on that.
Mm-hmm.
So my plan for this week is to move forward the needle in terms of a prototype. And once I have the first PR of that, I can start sharing that widely in the forum, right?
Sounds great. Wow, 2 minutes. Ryan, let's close it. I know.
Right.
Like, come on.
I'm done.
This is amazing. So Ryan, in the minutes, is it possible you say not discussed? Immediately after the 2 topics we discussed, you can say in red, not discussed. And like that, yeah, it needs to be not discussed. And then we will copy paste the same information for the next call. And then move on, because there is a lot of work to be done. And we don't need to wait for the call to get it done. But sometimes, especially with the website, we need to discuss it.
Yep, it's done.
It's done? Perfect.
Good.
All right.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank you.
Really good work.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Expert with me. They were like,
Bye.
they're experts.
Bye.